is the first test of the screencast. So, working on the Yellow Barn farm map. Up here, you got data. Think of it like a spreadsheet, but it's like a super spreadsheet where you have access to a lot of different computed columns, basically. So in this case, these are the comments, and each has a unique row ID that makes it way easier to reference it. Because if you reference it by name, which is possible, then if you change the name, then everything breaks. So you just create these values. Here's a text column. So as a basic text column, you have a lot of basic field data types. As you can see, these are just more useful for formatting, but it's basically the same concept as basic data. This is column user specific. It's kind of interesting if you're, well, it'll just store it more of like a session variable, so it's just like a temporary thing that is unique to the users rather than unique to the row in the database. And it's also unique to if you're not logged in, so it's used more for like session variables, maybe like view types or like particular filters or creating your own UI. This is an example of a computed column. The type is template, meaning it just, what does it say? Dynamic text to change the values of other columns. Yeah, so you just create like a little code, say MS, and then you can relate it to other columns in the row. You have a couple of special values like the current time or the currently logged in users. You can also always have access to the user profile, which is very helpful for obviously the values of what you're logged into and if you're creating certain values, but also like with AI, I have a question and answer thing that kind of use it as like a session variable for the particular user. But in this case, we're just referencing the other column in this table, the comments, and I am cancel that. So the title pulls from both the message and the sentiment icon. Well, what's that from? Well, the sentiment is a text-to-choice AI column where I instructed the AI, and this is saying it's using one update, so inevitably we're going to have to maybe charge people like a penny or two if they want to run an AI query. That's possibly a way to make extra revenue if you want to do complex AI queries, but so instructions, I just told it to determine the sentiment. What is it? It's pulling from this input, which is the message column, and I gave it the choices of positive, negative, neutral. So I was just testing this with like, cool, well that's positive, hi, that's neutral. And then this is a column which is like an if then else column, just creating a conditional. And so I say if the sentiment, which is returned from the AI, is positive, then give a smiley face. If it's negative, do that, and otherwise go neutral. So now we have this value. I use that in the template value to say message and sentiment icon. Why? Well, over here in the chat, I can then reference the chat view, which pulls from the comments. So over here in the layout, we have a component. The component is a chat component. And you can change the theme of it, and then you can change the values. So the display data, this is just whatever layout, quick settings. It's got broken, so the save data will have to update this. So I pull from, this is when you add a new comment where we're going to save all this data all the time. Is good. User email, obviously, user email. The user name, we're going to pull from the user profile, go to the main and name. That might be a template with a first and last later, but we can do that. The user photo, same thing. We go into the user profile, image final, another conditional where I created like a default image if the image doesn't exist, so there's at least something. It's the Yellow Barn logo. The parent ID I'll leave because I use the comments for. I put it on everything, and so if you're like adding a comment to a task, the parent ID will be there, but this is the general chat, so we'll have no parent ID. After submit, we could say show a notification. We could also like send an email, which is an interesting thought. Well, I don't know. I feel like subscribe to someone, so we'll say comment submitted. So I'll say, wow, this is cool. And the text is the title, which now basically, well, it calculated the sentiment and put a little smiley face on there. That's the beginning of like sentiment analysis for reviews, comments, chat, all that. Actions, so general options and actions are going to be for every component, and we can add an action where I want to, let's say I want to view the profile, which might be useful if you're just looking at things. I don't think this actually does anything. But, so here's a list of actions that are possible on the comment table. This is a lot here. Navigation, you can show the detailed screen of the thing, edit it, do for, a bunch of stuff. I would want to show a detailed screen, and what's the context of the detailed screen? The data is not going to be this item, but it's going to be the author ref, and that would allow me, I'm going to make that slide in. So if I click on that, now I hover over it, I have a little option, I go to view profile, it's going to pop my profile out, which is the common user profile screen.